Holiness is a difficult thing to grasp. If we close our eyes and try to think of, a holy person, very often our minds run to maybe the most observant person we can think of, or somebody with exceptional character traits. It's very hard to pin down what holiness is. That being the case, the beginning of Parshas Kedoshim, which is the second of our Torah portions this week, makes it more difficult, because not only is there such a thing as holiness out there, but Kedoshim Tiyu, we are commanded to be holy. Now, what does that mean to be holy? And Kedoshim Tiyu ki kadosh ani Hashem. We should be holy because God is holy. Now listen, I get that we should strive to be as good as we should be, but to be holy like God, what does that mean? We can't possibly aspire to be as holy as God. The rabbis in the Midrash grapple with this question. I came across three answers, two of which are brought down actually as sort of classic answers, one by Rashi and one by the Ramban. The one brought down by Rashi is that Kol Makom She'ata Motze Geder Erva, anywhere where you find that people are cautious about inappropriate relationships, that's where you're going to find sanctity. That it's a sine qua non of sanctity is that you're careful about improper relationships. Now, the reason why this explanation holds some water is that contextually, the previous Torah portion of Achrei Mos just finished giving us a list of the prohibited relationships. Kedoshim gives us another repeat of the list of the prohibited relationships. So it would seem like these Torah portions are very involved in prohibited relationships, and therefore you have this idea that holiness is connected to forbidden relationships. Okay, very good. Another answer that's brought down by the Ramban, Nachmanides, is that what we need to do in order to be holy is to restrain ourselves, that we should not be a benuvel b'reshus haTorah, we should restrain ourselves. Kadesh atzmecha b'masha mutar lach. Make yourself holy through that which is permitted to you. Look, right and wrong, prohibited and permitted, okay, we get that. But within the realm of that which is permitted to us, in order to be a holy person, we have to also look carefully at our intentions and our actions when it comes to things that are permitted to us. And Nachmanides brings down that, in fact, a person can be what's known as a menuvel b'reshus haTorah. A person could be a despicable human being while not violating anything in the Torah. They could be a glutton, a drunkard, without violating anything specifically stated in the Torah. The trick is to do everything with appropriate amount of moderation. A person has to eat with moderation, they have to drink with moderation, they have to have relations with moderation, and the idea being that this moderation will culture a certain holiness in us, that we have to be wary of excess in the physical world, even when it's permitted. We have to be wary of excess in the physical world. I'd like to share with you a third idea, which is the lead idea in the Midrash Rabbah. It's the lead idea, and that is Kedoshim Tiyu, Hadahu Dichsiv, that's connected to what's written, Vayigba Hashem Tzvaos B'Mishpat, that God is elevated through judgment. God is elevated through judgment. What makes God so great and sanctified is his judgment. And the Midrash brings many, many verses that when God executes judgment, and in particular judgment against sinners, against people who are evil and have done the wrong thing, Vizgadalti, this is a verse from Ezekiel, Vizgadalti vizkadashti, v'no'adati le'nei goyim rabim, v'yodu ki ani Hashem, Vizgadalti, I will become great, vizkadashti, and sanctified, v'nodati le'nei hagoyim, and I will become known to the eyes of the nations, many nations, and they will know that I am God. Okay, or Noda Hashem Mishpat, also another verse from Psalms, which says that God becomes known through his judgment. Basically, what the Midrash is saying is that God's judgment is the mark of his holiness. That holiness rests not in abstinence, which is not a Jewish idea, moderation, Yes, we do have such an idea. Holiness is not marked by observance of a certain number of things or greater stricture. Holiness is judged by, or holiness is accomplished by executing judgment appropriately, being fair, giving people a fair shake. Judgment is the way to holiness. I found this personally very surprising. I'd never really considered judgment as a way to holiness. And yet, what society can possibly strive for its God-given mandate, strive for its God-given aims and goals? What society can hope to do that if it doesn't have justice at its foundation? Justice shall you pursue. Justice leads to holiness. How can we focus? How much more can we focus, I should say? How much more can we focus on holiness and spirituality in a world where we know that we're going to be treated fairly and the people around us are being treated fairly? And for that matter, the mark of a society which is unholy is a society that is failing to execute judgment. Right? Judgment has to apply equally to all people, to people who are disadvantaged and people who are advantaged. When a society applies justice in a fair and equitable way, it's on its way to fulfilling its God-given mandate of holiness. That's how a society gains its fame, its reputation, and its standing in the world. Not by how much money it makes, not by how many wars it wins, but how it executes justice and how fair that society is. Our society is still striving for that holiness. There are many inequities in our society, as I guess there always will be a certain amount of inequity. But it is the mark of a society and the path on which that society is headed in terms of its holiness and fulfilling its God-given mission. The mark of such a society is its fairness, its justice. When fairness and justice exist, holiness becomes possible. Let's all, as we head into this Shabbos, let's all focus on the needs, not only our needs, the needs of the people immediately around us, but be certain that we're focusing on the needs of everyone in society, that we are being as equitable as possible in society, as fair as possible in society. And that, especially in the coming months, where there is so much pain and difficulty economically in society, let's hope that we can find a way through our government, through our court system, and through our personal actions to be as equitable, as fair, and as supportive of those who are disadvantaged as possible. In this way, we can take a step towards the holiness, the great holiness, the high and lofty holiness of God. We can take a step in that right direction, not only by being careful in our relationships and careful with forbidden relationships, not only in expressing moderation, even in the things permitted to us, but we can express our holiness and move closer to God by expressing our concern for justice, supporting justice, being certain that our society is taking care of everyone that needs to be taken care of, and that we too are taking care of those who are disadvantaged amongst our circle of people. And in that way, we can strive for the holiness of God. It's a lofty goal,